The members of the UNB Working Committee met today at the party headquarters, Sirikota. The meeting took place under the auspices of the leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The members of the Working Committee commenced their meeting at around 4:30 p.m. today. Appointments were to be made to three main positions in the UNB, namely the post of Deputy Leader, Assistant Leader and National Organizer. Appointments had to be made for three vacant positions in the UNP. These are the positions of Deputy Leader, Assistant Leader and National Organizer. The Working Committee decided to appoint MP Joseph Michael Pereira as the Assistant Leader and Daya Gamage as the National Organizer. The party leader asked for more time for the appointment to the position of Deputy Leader. The Working Committee granted time for discussions to be held and a final decision to be arrived at.
ඒ සඳහා නිර්දේශ වූ නම ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබෙන්නේ පක්ෂ නායකතුමාට. කොච්චර කාලයක් විතර යනවා? ඒක කොට්ටාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයට වාර්තා කිරීම ඕනෑම දවසක සිදු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා ඒ ගැන පක්ෂ නායකතුමා වාර්තා කරන ආකාරයට තමයි ඒ දිනේ නියම වෙන්නේ. දුෂාවියකට පක්ෂ ඡන්ද ලබා දුන්න එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ මන්ත්‍රී එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී කණ්ඩායමේ තීරණයට පටහැනි ලෙස
An inquiry will be conducted into all MPs who violated the decision taken by the UNP parliamentary group and voted for the impeachment motion. We have already submitted letters through the disciplinary committee querying these MPs on this matter. The working committee decided today that if there are no responses forthcoming to these letters by the deadline, the letters will be taken into consideration when deciding on future action. We have given them time until tomorrow and the responses we receive tomorrow will be considered when deciding on a future course of action.
ඒ ලැබෙන පිළිතුරු සලකා බලමින් තමයි ඉදිරි පියවර ගැනීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Manush Nanaikara says that he will seek redress from the courts if the United National Party takes action against him. Nanaikara made this statement in response to reports that the United National Party would be taking disciplinary action against MPs who voted for the impeachment of Dr. Shirani Bandaranayake.
මේ දෝෂාභියෝගයේ අවස්ථාවේදී තමන්ගේ කාර්ය හරියාකාරව ඉෂ්ට නොකරපු
We see this as another scheme by the opposition leader who failed to carry out his duty during the impeachment motion to divert charges that have been levelled against him following the people's victory in the impeachment motion. We must make it clear that this disciplinary inquiry is just another show. This is our opinion. We hope to go to courts and obtain an injunction against the measures that they will take.
තවත් එක් සම්දර්ශනයක් විතරයි කියන එක අපි පැහැදිලිවම සඳහන් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි අපේ මතය. අපි උසාවියට ගිහිල්ලා මේ ගන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ග සම්බන්ධයෙන් තහනම් නියෝගයක් සහ ඉදිරි කටයුතු ගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The Maganaguma scheme was initiated by the Road Development Authority with the intention of constructing and renovating rural roads. However, residents of several villages surrounding Tissamaharama are voicing strong protest against a bridge constructed under the Maganaguma program, which has caused several problems.
If people are being made to go back to traditional methods to meet their daily needs, then it clearly cannot be identified as development. When this iron bridge collapsed, several villages surrounding Tissamaharama, including Gonagamua, were connected by a wooden bridge via the village of Ran Nelum Walayaya. An iron bridge was constructed across the Kirindioya at this location under the Maganaguma Rural Development Scheme in 2001. However, with the spill gates of the Lunugamwehera reservoir being opened recently, the water level of the Kirindoya rose and washed away this bridge. The use of a wooden bridge in place of the iron bridge shows not only a decline in development, but also a gateway to several risks. The bridge was built for the use of people from the Gonagamua, Unawa, Ikkapallama and Saliapura areas. People from about 10 villages in these areas use this iron bridge to travel to the Tissamaharama town for their daily needs. However, with the iron bridge being washed away, the villagers have to travel an extra 10 kilometers to reach the town.
We have to take a massive circuitous route now. All the facilities are in the village adjacent to us.
The loss of the bridge has made it extremely difficult for the villagers to travel to important locations including schools and public offices. This Maganaguma bridge was built to shorten the distance, but it was substandard. The mistake was that the bridge was too low. This bridge was constructed neglecting the possibility of the spill gates of the Lunugam-Wehera reservoir being opened. The Kirindioe used to be like a waterway, and this bridge was suitable at the time. Following the success of the Weheragala scheme, the spill gates of the Lunugam-Wehera are being opened. It is after that that we had to face this crisis. Area residents say that the bridge gradually deteriorated every time the spill gates of the reservoir were opened. About 1,000 to 2,000 motorcycles use the bridge daily. There were bicycles and children going to school who used the bridge. The bridge deteriorated every time the spill gates were opened. This was not built as a bridge. It was built inside the river. This simply connected the two banks of the river. We ask that the authorities please build us a proper cable bridge. At this instance, I would like to say that we will take steps in the near future to expeditiously construct a cable bridge here. If the chairman keeps this promise, then not only will the difficulties faced by these people come to an end, but the dangers of using this wooden bridge instead will also cease to exist.
Another 3 suspects have been arrested in connection to the student clash which erupted at the University of Moratuwa recently. A high-ranking police officer said that 2 of the 3 arrested individuals are students of the National Institute of Technology, while the other is an outside party.
A group including students from the National Institute of Technology, also known as NDT, broke into the dormitory of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Moratuwa at night on the 16th of this month and assaulted its students. A suspect who was earlier arrested in connection with the clash was placed in remand custody. The police noted that 7 more suspects have been identified in connection with the incident and investigations are underway to arrest them.
Up next is a look at Action TV.
At midnight on the 25th of December last year, a stock of 125 electric motors, valued at about 40 million rupees, was seized by the police as they were being transported from a paper factory in Valat, Chennai. 5 suspects who were also taken into custody the same night have since been released on bail. Police investigations into the incident have not focused on whether employees of the State Paper Corporation who were attached to this factory had directly or indirectly assisted the 5 outsiders in removing the stock of electric motors. Nevertheless, it will be determined in court in the future as to whether this incident was an act of thievery or not. However, the contents of this letter addressed by the relevant authority at the State Paper Corporation to the Assistant Superintendent of Police handling the investigation must be taken into consideration. The intention of this letter is to point out that the removal of the stock of electric motors from the Valat Chennai paper factory was a legitimate affair. In his letter, the relevant authority tells the ASP that it is his responsibility to sell scrap metal and unusable items at this factory in order to sustain the employees. In the letter, this official says that a tender was called for to sell scrap metal and unusable items at this factory, including the stock of electric motors which were removed from the factory on Christmas night. However, the tender this official is referring to in his letter was called on the 19th of July last year. In accordance with the tender, the scrap metal and unusable items that would be sold were to be determined by a 5-member review panel. The list compiled by this panel only mentions 4 electric motors. Another factor to consider is that if buyers were indeed given time until midnight on the 25th of December to remove scrap metal and unusable items they had bought from the factory, then it would have been a violation of the terms of the tender. The official who addressed this letter was appointed to this position by the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance and Planning. His 1-year term ends on the 29th of February. The contents of his letter are a jest to the Ministry Secretary's aspiration to rejuvenate loss-making public enterprises.
And now a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.